live in the dungeon. This is the Dream Warrior Review. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Mick Strawn.
Okay, so I'm going to do this in the voice of Claude Rains if I can.
Okay, here's the thing. A little bit more intensity.
I gotta
Claude Rains was.
Let me try this.
Give yourself a little bit more air.
I meddled in things that I should have left alone. Wait. I meddled in things I should have left alone.
A little bit more intense? No.
No, that was
okay.
You have to start easy and then work to a fever and then let it breathe and then come back in again.
I meddled in things that man must leave alone.
A scientist finds a way of becoming invisible, but in doing so, he becomes murderously insane.
Wait, how did he laugh?
That was great.
That was his laugh in the movie. His laugh was very high. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway. Oh, man. That was really good.
Here we go gathering nuts in May, nuts in May, nuts in May.
Hey, here we go gathering nuts in May on a cold and frosty morning. Whoop!
I have to say, James Whale.
Oh yeah,
did this one. Frankenstein.
I recognize the name, but I didn't make the connection.
The great thing about it, though, is how many elements he brought to it that are just such classics of his.
Yeah.
The James Whale has this tendency to create all these. He spends a lot of effort on all the little characters, all the villagers, and they have great character parts and and great like
this has some great cops in it, like the
and the woman
she was like the innkeeper.
Yeah, the innkeeper. I have her name here. I am gonna find her name. Jenny Hall.
Yes.
Jenny Hall was the character, and Una O'Connor.
Yeah.
She is hilarious. And the thing is it's her scream.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
this is when she jumps on the table and screams.
Or when she had her husband. Her husband gets hurt, and then you think she's done screaming, all of a sudden she just throws her head back and just screams again and starts the whole process over, and it is hilarious to watch her scream. And and she has this great way of moving about a set, that when she went through the doors. The bar comes up and it goes down.
Oh yeah,
and then the other bar comes up and goes down, and then she's through that, and then there's another thing that she's got to move, and then she goes through the door, and she does it. She does it with this precision that you think to yourself, yeah, that's somebody that's done it a million times. She's been in that bar so often and so long, but all the characters, they make this great comical Greek chorus, that.
Oh yeah. It's almost like there was a scene where he's knocking over all the policemen. It's almost like early movie.
Keystone Cops.
Keystone Cops.
Yeah, that's what you're.
I was trying to think of the director.
Oh no, absolutely.
But yeah, Keystone Cops, but it was more serious. It wasn't as funny. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
people were dying. I mean.
Yeah, but at the same time,
it was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah. Like the pants going down the street.
The pants going down the street was hilarious.
That's probably one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
So I think that one thing I like about this movie, this has always been one of my favorites because I've seen this a lot. Mm-hmm. Actually, a lot more than I've seen Dracula or Frankenstein.
Right.
Because I've seen it a lot on TV, I think.
It was on TV all the time. It's
always on.
It really was,
like,
yes.
It still is, I think.
Probably somewhere.
But no, I just I love Claude Rains' voice, first of all.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing.
And you only see him at the end of the movie. That's the only time you ever see him.
Yeah.
But at H.G. Wells is my point. It's like, you're working with stuff that's already beautiful. Like,
oh, right.
Any H.G. Wells story is awesome, like, for a movie. I mean, look at, do you know what one of his first books was?
No.
Which blew me away.
Time Machine?
I found a list of H.G. Wells, because he was around for a while.
Yeah,
started writing in the early 1900s.
They had pictures of him in with the cast of this film.
Yeah. So I was going deep down on his list on IMDb.
Right.
And I found A Trip to the Moon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
But I didn't know that, and so that's one thing I learned from this exercise. But yeah, I mean, War of the Worlds, and I mean, some of my favorites: War of the Worlds, Time Machine, Island of Dr. Moreau. I mean,
oh yeah, just
those are some great stories right there.
Yeah. So and the thing is that this particular story was a little bit more comical than he originally had set up. But there was another book that had more of a comical point to it that came out about time, and I can't think of the name. I was just watching, but I was watching a documentary on it. But the thing is that's why Universal decided to do the film, and then they brought him on as an advisor, being as he did the original book, and they pulled a lot of that utter comedy stuff back off of it. Yeah, but what an amazing, with that crisp, clear black and white.
I just love. I mean, it also reminded me a little bit of which isn't H.G. Wells, but it's Jekyll and Hyde. I always think of that one because that had a lot of humor in it too. Yeah,
there were a couple of things in the plot that kind of like got me. Why did they wind up having to be partners? I didn't get that,
Yeah.
It was like almost like he was assigned by the
yeah. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, you're going to be my partner, and props to the set work, to the special effects work. Didn't catch I didn't see a wire. I saw a glint of a wire once. Just
when the book was being lifted.
I think it was the book. Yeah.
I think I saw it too.
But otherwise,
And there was you could see somebody's face at one point when he was outside. But
yeah.
It was very brief. But back then, this must have been amazing to see this in the movie. Especially the last scene where his face comes in.
Well, and the great thing about it was that they did so much wire work. And there's a trick to doing wire work like that. You take your wires and they would use gun bluing on the. They would use extremely fine piano wire.
Yeah.
And I mean literally underweighted. Maybe a wire would be able to lift a pound, and they put 5 pounds on it.
Okay.
And then they would take that wire and they would take gun bluing, and they would come down it with gun bluing so that it would darken it and it would eliminate the shine that's on it. So I mean, it's like there's so much stuff that they got really good at that, and I kind of learned some of those little tricks from Tasla Bauer, who is an absolute historian of all this stuff. And I love the way that they did that stuff, and you have to understand that this is the beginning of.
This is the 30s.
Yeah, this is
1933, right?
This is the beginning. It was 33. This is the beginning of blue screen type. If you take a color,
matting but
the matting is
over top of other things.
Yeah,
what am I
on top
trying to say?
of yeah.
You know what I mean?
But the thing is you did that by clearing mats, by making a mat. This is the same thing as blue screen. They would take out the dark. They would everybody would be wrapped in black except for the parts that he wanted to see, and they would wrap it in black velvet. So then they could just take and shine right through. The black was clear in the negative, right? So in the negative, the black is clear. That means they can shine the rest of the image right through those black places. This is the same technique as blue screen many years later. What they would do is they would use development to eliminate. They would eliminate the developing of the blue, and that would mean the blue would go clear, and they would do it chemically, and then you could shine through it anything that you needed to actually see.
Yeah, which is crazy because blue and green screen are both kind of imperfect technology because you take everything out that's
Right.
that color.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing is when we were doing sets, you know, you always had to look at, you know, how your wardrobe was affecting when you were in a given set, because we would switch between green or blue or orange, you know, as the screen colors. And yeah, you know, it's the weatherman problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, one of my best friends actually is a weatherman, and I remember he used to bring like 4 or 5 suits that he had just bought. He'd bring them and shirts and stuff. And he would do a little fashion show for himself.
Right.
Like basically tell the director to put the camera up, and he would just stand there and look at himself and turn and stuff.
Yeah. So, I'm sure.
So we made a music video of him, like, you know, trying his clothes on.
Yeah.
I'm too sexy.
To make, yeah.
But no, it was there was
so that you didn't disappear.
And there's another meteorologist that worked with him at that time, and he was a slacker.
Right.
Went out drinking all the time and stuff, and was
yeah.
a party animal. And he was married and, you know, did crazy stuff. He showed up one time to work, and it was, you know, he was all, you know, messed up. Like, his hair was messy, and he looked like he had a hangover.
Right.
And he shows up on camera, and he's like, his tie is like see-through. And his shirt is kind of doing some wonky thing, like it's kind of, you know, because it has some green in it.
Oh.
And so he didn't think about that, but it's just amazing to me that you're on camera all the time. But anyway,
when we were working on Nightmare on Elm Street 3, we were using Dream Crust to eliminate like the edges. You know how, like, especially in this, even the edges kind of have had a tendency to fade. We would, to keep the edge strong, we would backlight it. We would put we would put a blue.
Oh yeah, lighting's
screen
important.
up,
Yeah,
and then we would backlight it with fluorescent lights right next to each other, right? You know, and we did a 40. I think it was a 40 by 20 in the back of the building at night to put Joey's stretching over the pit with the the camera that's looking down past him at hell down beneath where he falls back in, you know, the chair falls when he's done and all the rest of that. Well, that or the bed, I mean.
Yeah.
That sequence was shot with this back screen, and man, I'm telling you something. You're staring at that for a while, and it just blinds you, you know, because you're talking about every inch of it is a bulb, all the way 20 by 40. That's how many we rigged,
Wow,
and put up, and it's just astoundingly bright.
and I'm working in TV with one light that was a backlight.
Yeah,
let me adjust it. There it goes.
Well, yeah,
Sometimes two.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, you would get that look. That's the Roger Corman look.
Right.
Is when you only have like your limit is you have 3 lights.
Yeah.
Period. To do the whole scene, and everything gets this very kind of. And the shadows look.
Yes. Well, TV is very different, though. I mean,
Yeah, well.
I'm talking about news TV, which is pretty boring.
Yeah, right.
Lighting's pretty boring there.
Yeah, could
The
always
backlight
be,
is very important.
Could always be better. Well, backlight, so you get that
especially
hair rim.
with green screen. Oh my god.
Now, do you have a light up next to the camera that puts a twinkle in their eyes?
No, they have that magically anyway. You don't need extra light for that.
Oh, you don't. You just have a twinkle.
Well, there was one camera operator or one news anchor that I used to. She had a big twinkle in her eye, but I think it's because I was behind the camera. Anyway.
Ugh, boy, that sucked. Oh man.
So this movie, I mean, the action. One thing I like about this is it's short. I think we talked about that before.
Oh yeah.
It's short. It's like an hour and 10 minutes, and the action just moves and moves. The whole thing is just very fluid. It's perfect.
It starts out. To me, this is a perfect.
Builds up to a climax.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's the beginning of an idea.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the you know, people disappearing. Right. That it's the perfect beginning of it. Mm-hmm. You know, there isn't anything that has to be complicated about it. There's no huge character or story arc.
Right.
It's just kind of like a playground for humor.
Yeah.
There's the horror and the humor and the horror and the humor.
There's only one character arc really, which is the main character.
Yeah.
Going crazy.
Yeah. I noticed that a lot of the scenes he's disappeared in. They took glass out of the windows and stuff, and then they would do a normal scene in the same room, and the glass would be back in all the windows. And a lot of flowers. In fact, there was one scene. There was one scene where his competition, his love competition, is talking to her, and I swear they're talking on either side of an enormous, display of flowers, right? And the flowers are foreground, and it's hilarious because they're at first you see the flowers set on this side, and then that side, and that side, and that side, and it keeps switching back and forth, and then at the end it pulls out as he's walking away, and literally she is obscured by the flowers. I was like, wow. But he was well known. Actually, this director was well known for that. He loved really, really big sets and lots of flowers.
Well, this is Universal, right? So
yeah, well,
they like big sets,
yeah,
especially this time.
Yeah, they do. Well, you know what? Universal, I remember working over there, and Universal had a couple, still does have a couple of the largest sets. I mean, sets that, they're 50 feet to the first grid. And I mean, the first grid is below catwalks. Wow. I mean, and there's total access to everything up there. I mean, you literally, they would many times when I would talk to some of my construction friends, they would say, well, I said, so what'd you do today? And so they said, well, we were hanging in the grid because if somebody was changing an idea, you didn't want the uppity ups to come and see, your entire construction crew just farting around and stuff. So you just send them to the grids, and they had all kinds of like little rooms and stuff up there and all.
Wow.
Yeah, this is huge. I mean, these things were huge. I was working on Michael Jackson video, the one where he kind of like was going around the world, Cleopatra's.
Oh, yeah.
I built Cleopatra's bed.
Remember the Time, isn't it?
Yeah,
like Eddie Murphy in it?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It was done by John Singleton.
Yeah,
John Singleton.
that's a great video.
Right.
Of course, I'm a Michael Jackson fan. So.
Well, if you see Cleopatra's extraordinarily ornate bed, I built that.
Oh, wow.
But that, I mean, the thing is there were so many people working there, and there was such a huge NDA, non-disclosure agreement, that you had, that literally a guy put 20 people in a room at a time and read a 14-page NDA to people, and then had them sign it. And then you had to, they were going to check your signature. You had to go home. You got paid for that day, but you had to go home and then come back in the morning. Right. Oh, such a process. But yeah, so I
well, back then everybody wanted to see a Michael Jackson video. They were waiting for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I had friends that we would actually sit there and wait for the video to come on.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I can understand that. It was really well done. But the great thing about it is that everything that was on the stage is hung off of the grid, and the grid's like 45, 50 feet high. Is the first grid, and it builds one rope at a time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like, the top and anything that you're hanging and after a while you can hardly even see, as you were walking up the steps to get up to the catwalks, you could just, it would just be a mass of ropes coming down, because you're using about 40 feet of rope just to hang something 10 feet high.
Right, yeah. Wow.
So you're just looking across all this. It's amazing look, Stuff that you don't see. I mean, it's the behind the scenes stuff that, that the fake behind the scenes doesn't get to see that stuff. So
right, yeah.
Yeah. Really, really interesting stuff.
Behind the scenes.
The behind the scenes, yes. So, yeah.
Why would food be invisible if he said food is invisible until I digest it? Does that mean when it comes out?
I love that he had some really specific stuff right there. That
where he was telling him, "This is what I need you to do. I need you to wipe me down when I get wet."
Yeah, wipe me down when I get because my feet get dirty, and yeah, that was pretty weird. I heard that the mirror shot was the most complicated shot that they did, and it took four. In the end, they wound up using 4 completely separate passes of the 4 films together.
Oh yeah.
And 2 sets.
Wow.
Because the mirror set had to be the mirror of the one that you were in. So you actually saw that over his head, and so all that was rebuilt and then filmed separately.
So wouldn't, after a while, if you're taking 4 negatives and putting them on top of each other, wouldn't it get darker? Like, wouldn't you have a problem with, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So I don't know how they would adjust for that, because I thought they did it, whatever they did, they did a good job.
In black and white, it's
easier in black and white.
It's easier because it's digital. I mean, in the end, it's kind of like a digital problem. It's either there or isn't.
Yeah.
That all the way down. Yeah. So, and you can really correct. Okay, think about this. When you were doing black and white in college, I'm sorry, I did black and white in college.
I did black and white too.
Yeah. So and
I still do it. Actually,
you remember when you used to paint the negative?
Yeah.
You used to take it like that reddish looking that wouldn't let any light through, and you go on and like any speck that's on there.
Like if there's a hole or something.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that with the 35 millimeter film. You know.
Well, I did that with 30. That's why I'm asking. Is I still do photography, but I don't do the. I've been a while since I've done the 35 millimeter, but
exactly.
You can layer them on top of each other. I did that a couple times. Just to
just get a great
weird effect. But I noticed it did. You had to adjust for the fact that it really made it dark, and you had to.
Right.
You know, you had to fix that. But.
But you know, the thing is, you had very sophisticated light sources and that sort of stuff. So
I still have an enlarger.
I've actually seen it before. Yeah.
So I really like his the way his character like starts off kind of normal.
Yeah, and then he becomes a raging dick after
the big
a while.
monologue about the invisible armies. It will begin with the reign of terror.
Yeah, the reign of terror. and the thing is this is what was explained by the doctors that that the rats that they had became megalomaniac rats. How they could tell that they had a rat.
When they said that, I pictured a rat like wringing his hands together like. or that cartoon. We're gonna take over the world today.
Yeah. Brain.
Pinky in the brain.
Pinky in the brain. Right. Exactly. So what are we doing today? We're going to take over the world. Yeah. No. That's. I kind of thought about the same thing.
Yeah. So I like how it built up to that scene at the end where they were all holding hands, which is ridiculous. Some of the things the cops did, they were beating the bushes. Literally beating the bushes.
That was pretty terrible. Well, and I also like the fact that they're talking about we're gonna get 1,000 people, we're gonna get 10,000 people, we're gonna have 100,000 cops, and they could. And the first thing is. He calls the station to say that, I've got him here. Well, we only have 5 people. It's like, well, where was the 10 and the...
Was it really necessary to burn the barn down, too? I mean...
Oh, well, yeah, of course. That was a visual thing. Come on, give me a break. I have to say... I also noticed this, is that you could definitely... I mean, if you had in your mind a vision of Claude Rains and the way that he moved... The way that the Invisible Man moved was very much Claude Rains. It was. I was like, wow, yeah, I can actually totally see his acting style in the way that he moved. It was him. Yeah, you definitely tell it was him. So I'm just getting. Oh, and I thought the inkwell gag was pretty cool.
Did you notice that the ink kind of looked different, like from shot to shot? They were like,
oh yeah, that splat was different. It was completely different, right? Yeah.
I know a lot about ink splatter. I noticed that immediately.
Well, in the end, and I have to go back to the werewolf. I really, really enjoyed this one, and I think it was because of the directing and the humor in it that I did not enjoy the werewolf one. It was like a little bit.
Oh god, the werewolf. What's weird is this one is 1933. It seems so far ahead of its time. Like it was so much better than the werewolf.
Oh yeah, werewolf was in 1940.
Well, it was right after. It came out like 2 days after Pearl Harbor attack.
So it was 1941.
Right, and it was so flat compared to this. I have to just give it to James Well, man. You know, the guy knows how to put these things together. He really does. You know.
And what's weird about H.G. Wells, I wanted to point out, is that when I was looking through his list, I found one called The Erotic Time Machine. And I was like, what is that? So that's on my new list.
Oh, your new list, right? So, what's some of the other classics that we need to go? We got the Swamp Creature. We have to pull up. The Mummy. The Mummy is kind of a.
Would you consider
one.
like Creature from the Black Lagoon? Would that be kind of a horror or sci-fi movie? I guess
absolutely.
Creature film, I guess.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. So
there's a lot of stuff we could do. Like sci-fi though. When we start getting into sci-fi.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Like some 50s stuff that I like.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Robbie the Robot. But
I was thinking more like Santa meets the Martians.
Yeah.
No.
And Planet 9 from
Planet 9 from outer space.
9 from outer space. Yeah. The first Blubber, the Blob.
The Blob.
The Blob.
I thought wasn't there one called with Fred McMurray called the Blubber? Or
Yeah. Blubber, and the Return of Blubber. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Actually, it was Flubber and the Son of Flubber, later to be remade with Robin Williams starring in the role in 1997. Thank you.
So this one, I have to say, I enjoyed this like all get out.
I haven't seen this for a long time, and I remember really liking it, and I still like it. So
I'm going to say with everything, I'm going to put it at 4.2.
Yeah,
that's big for me. I really, I hate to say this, you know, down in my soul, I liked it better than Frankenstein.
Oh, I did too. I'd like it better.
It's just a totally enjoyable
and
film.
I'm a Dracula fan, but I like this better than Dracula, so I'm actually right there with you at 4.2.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yes.
So
it would have been a 4 without the pants scene.
Yeah.
Where he's running down the street.
It's true. That was great.
And the little yippee at the end, or whatever it was.
Well, isn't that that's the great character though that he was after, was her. Yeah. So I just got to give it to everybody. There is not an ounce of fat on this.
No.
I mean, it's.
I think some current filmmakers should probably look at this movie and reassess what they do in their.
Well, you know, there is
because things don't need to be 2 hours and 15 minutes long, or
right. But there's another thing about this is that there is a certain extent that you didn't have anywhere near as many close-ups. You didn't have as big a selection of shots. You know,
you hardly had close-ups unless there was something really happening. Like
exactly,
long shots and medium shots.
Exactly, they really had to think about it. So,
well, back then you didn't have cameras you could move very much, right?
Right. No, it was a complicated thing to do, but at the same time, it kind of simplifies the story to a certain extent. I mean, that visually, the story is played out in front of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and this is a fairly long book, so it's like the way they tell the story is perfect because it's like
boom, 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 boom.
It's just like the high points.
It's great. It really gets you.
It's like the Cliff Notes.
Yeah,
really.
So there you go.
And actually, I mean, how many Invisible Man movies have there been? Like tons of them.
There's tons of them. I mean, I actually looked up Amazon Women from the Moon.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
And it has a great version of I can't think of his name, but he thinks that he's invisible.
Yeah. That's a great movie. That and Kentucky Fried Movie are two of my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Like, bizarre
bits
movies.
and pizzas, bits and pizzas movies. Yeah.
But I'm thinking of the Chevy Chase movie that I actually kind of like that one.
Oh,
Memoirs of an Invisible Man. That came out like in the 90s. I remember going to see that with my dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We saw it at the Dollar Theater with my dad. And then the one with Kevin Bacon with Hollow Man. That was pretty decent.
Oh, yeah. Hollow Man was pretty
You got to
good,
see his hollow
Yeah.
I mean, that was a weird scene, but anyway. No, but there's been some good ones, but I still think this is the best one.
Yeah, no, I have to say I really totally enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go make myself invisible. Thanks for joining us on the Dream Warrior Review podcast. Don't forget to tell your friends about us, follow us, and, of course, like us. We can be found on Podbean, which is an amazing app, YouTube, Stitcher, Alexa on any pod, iTunes, Google Play. We're on Twitter as well, at DW Review, and, of course, Facebook. You can find us there. You can also email us at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com.